Hi, Aidan. Okay, so I apologize that I had to move the lesson and you couldn't make it this week. So I've made this video and hopefully it will help you. So the first thing that you should do is get a timer and set it for 2 minutes. Okay. And then when you've done that, I'm going to show you 10 questions and I just want to see how many of them you can answer in 2 minutes. When 2 minutes is up, then stop answering and then have a look. How many did you manage to answer? And ask yourself, how many could I answer next time? What could I do to answer more questions? And also have a look at the questions that were taking you longer than the other questions and think, why is that question taking me long? And it might be the case that you might need more help with that question. And if you do, just make sure you let me know. So here are the 10 questions. Pause the screen, 2 minutes now. Okay, right. So now that you've had the 2 minutes to do that, we're going to go through the rest of the lesson. So the first part of the lesson is this formula here, Q divided by D multiplied by N. It's such an important formula. It helps us find fractions of any amount, okay? So it stands for quantity divided by denominator multiplied by numerator. And what these mean, quantity is the big number, or usually it's a big number, not always, but most of the time it's the big number that's being divided, the one that's being shared. Then we get that number and we divide it by the denominator, which is the bottom number in a fraction. Then when we get the answer to that, we multiply that answer by the numerator, which is the top number in a fraction. So I'll just show you once more how this works with a real question. If we look at the top question, it says, what is 4/5 of 40? Okay, so my quantity is 40. I need to divide it by the bottom number in the fraction, the denominator, so 5. So 40 divided by 5, and that gives me 8. Then I multiply by the top number, the numerator of the fraction. So 8 times 4 is 32. So if you could pause the screen here and have a go at answering the other questions on this screen. And really what I would suggest is make sure you don't leave the screen until you know perfectly how to do this. As soon as you know how to answer all of those questions and you're very confident, then move on to the next part, which is this part. Okay. So this can be quite tricky. I'm just going to see if I can hide my camera because I think my camera might be covering some of the questions. Let me have a look. Okay, I think my camera should be gone now. I apologize if it hasn't. What we need to do is we've got a question. We've got 4 questions here. Question 1 is this one at the top. Cream, liar, lived, snail, blank, rapid. We need to figure out which word goes here. Okay, and the way we do that is we look at this part here, and I'm going to number all of the letters outside of the brackets. So what I mean is that's number 1, that's number 2, that's number 3, that's number 4, and that's number 5. Then that's number 6, that's number 7, that's number 8, that's number 9, and that's number 10. Okay, so what I need to do now is have a look at this this word, liar, and I need to ask myself which number is being represented by L. And you can see it's the 6th number. So over here, I'm going to put 6. Then which number is being represented by I? Number 7. So I'm going to put number 7 here. Then once again, A is being represented by 4. And then finally, R is being represented by 2. So 6, 7, 4, 2. Now I look at these words and the 6th letter is R. So R goes here. The 7th letter is A. So A goes here. The 4th letter is I. So I goes here. And the 2nd letter is N. So N goes here. And we've got the word rain. And because rain is a real word, we know that we're correct. So pause the screen and have a go at doing these 3 questions. Okay, figurative language. So we've done hyperbole, we've done onomatopoeia, we've done personification, but we haven't done simile and metaphor. So let's quickly talk through simile and metaphor. Okay, what is a simile? A simile is a type of figurative language that compares two things using the words as or like. Okay, so let's look at an example. The sound of the boy's tummy rumbling was like a volcano waiting to erupt. So what two things are being compared? The first thing is the sound of the boy's tummy rumbling. The second thing, what it's being compared to, is volcano waiting to erupt. And we have used the word like. Okay, so that is a simile. The sound of the boy's tummy rumbling was like a volcano waiting to erupt. I'll show you another one. The clouds looked soft and puffy, like, that should say pieces. Pieces of cotton wool floating in a sink. So what two things are being compared? We've got the clouds being compared to cotton wool. And they're being compared using the word like. So that is a simile. One more example. As she yawned, her mouth transformed into a shape as dark and wide as a cave. So what two things are being compared? Her mouth is being compared to a cave. And we have used the word as. So we can use the word as or like, and it's a simile. So it's your go. Can you write a simile for this picture? So pause the screen, have a go at that. When you've done that, can you write a simile for this picture? So pause the screen and have a go at that. And then when you've done that, can you write a simile for this picture? So if you pause the screen and have a go, and then when you've done that, we'll move on to metaphors. So a metaphor is quite similar to a simile. It's a type of figurative language. Again, it compares two things, but this time we don't say as and like, we say is and are. So some examples: the boy's tummy is a volcano waiting to erupt. It's not like a volcano, that's a simile. It is a volcano. So what two things are being compared? We've got the boy's tummy and the volcano. They're being compared with the word is. The clouds are pieces of cotton wool floating across a beautiful blue sky. So once again, we've got the clouds being compared to cotton wool, but we're not saying as, and we're not saying like because they're similes. We're saying are because it's a metaphor, and we use is and are for metaphors. And the final one, her mouth is an abandoned cave that no one dare enter. Not her mouth is like an abandoned cave. We're saying it is an abandoned cave. So that's the difference between metaphors and similes. There's not much difference. Okay, so when you think you've understood that, have a go at writing a metaphor for this picture. And then when you've done that, write a metaphor for this picture. And when you've done that, write a metaphor for this picture. Okay, the final part is, here's a picture, and I've written some writing about it. I wrote, like a golden biscuit being dunked into the world's largest cup of tea, the sun hid behind the horizon. It's a precious token that we take for granted, isn't it? From a distance, it seems so delicate and beautiful, but I heard somewhere that the roar it emits, if you manage to get close enough, is deafening. I could stare at this scene every day for the rest of my life. So in that passage of text, can you spot the hyperbole? Can you spot the personification? Can you spot the onomatopoeia? Can you spot the simile? And can you spot the metaphor? And maybe, if you're feeling up for the challenge, maybe you could write your own bit of writing about this picture using an example of all of these. Okay, thank you very much for watching, Aidan. If you need any help whatsoever, just let me know. Thank you.